welcome you to the Creelsboro Festival for the second time around, and we thank you because we can't do it without you, believe me. Thank you for coming. Now for the first time, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Richard Phelps of Columbia, Kentucky, as he presents the story of Elijah Creel, early Kentucky businessman and the founder of Creelsboro.
We moved later to Greene County. My father was Charles Cager Creel and my mother Sarah Stapp Creel. I was the sixth child of 7. My younger brother Elsie and I were in business together. My father had been a colonel with the 8th Virginia Regiment during the Revolution. And my father was a stonemason. And much of my father's work can still be seen in the town of Columbia and Greensburg. It was in 1811, when I was 33 years old, that I married a beautiful Greene County girl, Ermine Embry, in 1811. In 1812, our little boy Henry was born, and in 1813, Ermine died, leaving me with a 1-year-old boy. In 1814, I married Melinda Wagoner of Adair County, and we had 3 children together. Our first was named Reuben, after her father, Reuben Wagoner. Our second, Charles, named for my father, and our little girl named Ermine Catherine, after my first wife. And I'll tell you about my son Reuben later on, but all of my children grew into great citizens of Greene County. My brother Elsie and I, we lived in Greensburg. The Green River was not nearly as navigable as the mighty Cumberland, and we chose to come here, for you could trade up and down the river. And we came here in 1809 in the far southeastern corner of Adair County to locate. Now, and we had a trading post right there in the early days. Now, you did not become a county until 1825. William Russell, a worthy man that you named your county after, who had been a Revolutionary War soldier and had been one of the first to reach the top of Kings Mountain in that battle. Your county seat was to be named Jacksonville, after General Andrew Jackson, of course, in his work at the Battle of New Orleans in 1812. But your county seat would be named Jamestown, in honor of James Woolridge, who donated the land to build your county seat. But in those early days, Elsie and I, and our trading post, there was no hard money. We had dry goods, groceries, and we traded among the people. Roots, furs, tobacco, eggs and chickens. We would gather our things and sell them down the river to Nashville for hard money. Well, in those early days, the river, the Cumberland River, had been named by Dr. Thomas Walker in his earliest explorations into this land called by the Indians Kaintapee, and he named it the Cumberland River, after the Duke of Cumberland. Then, in the 1770s, long hunters hunted these valleys and stayed in their rock house and hunted this valley for deer. There were early men in this region, the Jackman brothers, William, Thomas, and Elijah Jackman, a 1,700-acre land grant, and they called it fittingly Jackman Bottom. Elsie and I drew a plat of the town here in 1809, and we laid it off for future growth. We laid it off a mile wide and a mile and a half long for future growth. It wasn't too long that we built a larger building there, and we called it the E&E Creel Company. And it wasn't too many years that, if I might say so, Elsie and I were doing pretty well. In 1818, we built a building in Columbia, and it still stands. We built it on the northeast corner of Columbia, and we, along with my Uncle John Field, we established a bank called the Bank of Columbia. But with Uncle John's growing financial troubles and a difficulty in raising the capital stock, the Bank of Columbia failed in 1825, and it would not be for another 40 years until another effort was made, and that time the bank was a success. It was in 1818 that Elsie built a beautiful house there in Columbia, and it still stands today. He built it one block to the north off of the square in Columbia. Now, many of you have passed Elsie's house and you didn't realize it, and many of you may have been in Elsie's house, for it has housed a Grissom funeral home since in the 1930s. But that's Elsie's house. I built my house in Greensburg of the Federal style, Flemish bond brick, a 2-story house, and it still stands, and it's in an excellent state of repair, and it just recently became a funeral home, just in Greensburg. But by 1825, I, Elijah Creel, owned 29 lots in the city of Greensburg, and I had accumulated 99 acres from my house to the waters of the Green River. I had also established and built some of the first in Kentucky tobacco warehouses. And of course, the house got a small percentage of every pound we sold. Soon, in the prime of my life, I was doing extremely well. But then, 1833 came along, and a cholera epidemic swept through Greensburg. In the summer months of 1833, with a population of no more than 600 people in Greensburg, 41 people died of the cholera. I contacted my friend and attorney, Thomas Lyle, and I wrote my will. And I held on until November the 12th of 1833. And then Elijah Stamp Creel was no more. I was taken back there about 100 yards from my house and buried. And with the passage of time, largely forgotten, just as you'll be forgotten. I left 4 children and a beautiful wife, and Thomas Lyle settled my estate in 1834. And in those 20-some years of hard work and 2 days' travel from Greensburg to here to Creelsboro to work, I had amassed $75,000. Now, in your day, a dollar in my day was, in your day, is $29.46. So I had amassed in a few years, in your money, $2,200,000. But I was gone. But it helped my children. I want to go back to my son Reuben, the oldest son by Melinda. Now Reuben was there in Greensburg, and he was a friend of William Henry Herndon. If you remember your history, Herndon was Abraham Lincoln's law partner. And through Billy Herndon and Abraham Lincoln, Reuben was asked to serve as ambassador to Mexico. So Reuben went to Mexico, and he served as ambassador to the United States. His son, this was much after I'd been gone, his son, Enrique, became the governor of a great area of Mexico. And Enrique became the ambassador from Mexico to the United States. But that was long after I had gone. The river, back to the river. I didn't tell you one thing. There were landings all along the river. And those river boats ran the Cumberland River for nearly 100 years. You may remember some of those boats in the later years, the Rowena, the Burnside, the Joe Harton Falls. There were landings, and there would be whistles for each landing that the boat was coming up. And there were operators of those landings. The Alda landing was operated by Cyrus Campbell. And I believe Cyrus House still stands on the edge of Creelsboro. Cyrus Campbell was a noted dealer in Green River pearls. Campbell's Lighthouse, operated by Acre Campbell. The Creelsboro landing, operated by Willis Bledsoe. And there were landings all up and down the river, all the way, Windfish Ferry and Blackfish and all those spots. But the river boats was the means of transportation in this area in that day. But I hope by my visit with you here this morning that you've learned more about the life of Elijah Stapp Creel and more about your community that we found in those earliest days. I thank you. There's always a spirit of camaraderie in Creelsboro and pride from being from this place. And it seems as though that your festival here today returns that camaraderie among its people. And I'm glad to see that, and I'm glad to share this time with you this morning to tell you about the life of Elijah Creel.
Elijah Creel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming. And ladies and gentlemen, they've been waiting a long time. And you're going to really, really like the rocker boys and girls. And they're known right here, ladies and gentlemen, as the Winding Creek Band. Give them a big hand. Hey, oh.
Just take those old records off the shelf. I sit and listen to them by myself. Today's music ain't got the same soul. I like that old time rock and roll. Don't try to take me to a disco. You'll never even get me out on the floor. In 10 minutes I'll be late for the door. Stop playing old time rock and roll. Still like that old time rock and roll. That kind of of music just soothes the soul. I reminisce about the days of old and that old time rock and roll. Still like that old time rock and roll. That kind of music just soothes the soul. I reminisce about the days of old and that old time rock and roll.
My wristwatch is broken, my shoes are untied. Time is a-ticking, and so is the tide. But I am not worried, things are what they are. Come rain or come shine or a shooting star. I've been to the south, I've been to the north, east and the west, the middle of course. I may have been astray.